Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Weishuhn. If you enjoy real-world hunting and fishing talk, you're really going to enjoy listening to my good friend, Luke Clayton, and his guest for the next hour.
This is David Fox, and welcome to Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Luke has been a recognized outdoors writer for the past 3 decades and writes for a host of outdoor publications. Luke pens a weekly newspaper outdoors column that appears in over 40 Texas newspapers. Luke is on the pro staff of Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything air gun related. Smoking techs, electric smokers, feel free to contact Luke through his website, catfishradio.org. Now let's join Luke and his guests for this week's show.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for that nice introduction. Mr. Whitetail, my good buddy Larry, is standing by. It's the second weekend of the general season up here in North Texas for deer. And I know, Larry, I talked to him a little bit before we were going on the air. And, Larry, you're kind of pumped up, aren't you, buddy?
I stay pumped up on deer hunting pretty much year-round or some kind of hunting. But you're right, Luke. I mean, we've been very fortunate this year. There's some really good whitetail bucks that have already been taken. There's some really big bucks still up in the woods. And from everything I can see, the does are really fat. I took a doe this past weekend to put in the freezer, and, oh, my God, she was in great shape. So, whitetail season is open. Lots of good eating to be had in camps. I've done a little bit of that this past week as well too, and a lot of good eating to be had as we harvest some of these deer that we're going to be taking, if we haven't already taken them. So you're right. Now, before we get too far here, we need to thank DSC Conservation Education Hunter Advocacy Hornady that we have put to really good use. That's accurate, deadly, dependable. The Stealth Vision scopes that you and I both have on our deer rifles, if you will. Of course, they're come from right down there in Crockett, Texas, with Dr. John McCall and Joe Cunningham and those guys involved. And then Vineyard Max, good gosh. I mean, we've been using Vineyard Max now for a while, and particularly this hunting season again. And I love the fact that it's a bait, but it also, and we can legally bait here in Texas. So not only is it a bait, it is good for the deer with the contents that Paul Moore and Kurt England and those guys have put together. And so, all that said, Taurus pistols or Taurus, they're raging hunters. I've been using those a little bit. Even some of the Mossberg rifles I've been using a little bit. So I can't wait to put them all back to use again here the next day or so.
I know, Larry, you're exactly right. Well, it's here. I mean, finally we got some cool weather come in like the end of I was beginning to wonder. The temperature started dropping up here in North Texas the last week, just before Halloween. We had some 60-degree highs, and I know out in the Panhandle, and folks are listening out there too, and actually up all over to our show here. But North Texas, it stayed warm quite a bit longer than normal. I mean, it really did. Call it what we want to. It's I won't call it global warming. I'll call it North Texas warming. I know I know it for a fact that it happens here. But yeah, we've got a lot going on, Larry. Had a great time up there with Don Gresham up in Forestburg. We'll spend some time and talk about that hunt soon. We've got so much to talk about, but we opened the season up there in Bowie, near Montague County, near Bowie, Forestburg, with my longtime friend Don Gresham, and now y'all's friend, that longtime friend. He opened his camp house up to us, and we set up a couple of those Vineyard Max deer feeders up there back in the summer, and had them going. And I don't want to spoil. I want us to have plenty of time to talk about that hunt in the next week or so. But that was a blast, Larry. Had a good time.
It truly is, and we did get a chance to do a fair amount of rattling while we were there. Again, I don't want to go into the details, but right now, this week and the week prior to, and throughout much of North Texas, those bucks are still coming to horn really well. And if you've never done it, and said, well, it just works in South Texas, I highly recommend you give it a try, because once you rattle up that buck, that first buck, you're going to be hooked on it. Got to spend some time this past week as well, too, over on the Cotton Ranch there in Kaufman County, and those bucks there were coming to horns really well too. And then it won't be long. You go a little bit farther west, out west of Dallas-Fort Worth area, away there, and it's kind of south, and the bucks will be coming to horns there, and pretty much over lots of the U.S. when you get right down to it. That second week of November across the board is pretty much when a lot of the whitetail ruts are going on, and I know everybody's anxious to get out there and spend time looking for those big old bucks during that time of the year, and I highly encourage them to do so. And, I'm often asked what's the best hunting advice, and to me, the best hunting advice is go hunting. Don't look for excuses not to go. It's too hot. It's too cold. You mentioned the heat that we've had up here and throughout lots of parts of Texas, and I guess a lot of parts of the South as well too. But the deer are still there. They're still got to move.
Yeah.
And so don't let the heat or the cold or the rain or the snow or the ice or whatever discourage you, or the high winds. Get out there and spend some time out there. If you really want to try to take a good deer, the best way to do it is to be out in the woods and be there when he moves, regardless what time that is. And a lot of time that could be during the middle part of the day too.
That's true. You can't kill him kicking coals around the campfire. That's for sure. You need to be out there doing it. And that's exactly what, and it's fun. You don't, you don't kill a big buck that particular day. Well, you're still winter. You got to be there when the coyotes opened up in the mornings, and when they went out in the evening hunt, you could hear them, the packs gathering. You could hear the old barred owls talking in the woods. I don't know. Deer hunting to me is I've always put forth the effort to get a good buck. Or to get a fat doe. I love venison.
Oh, yes.
I think I'm one of the lucky ones, and you are too. So I've always said a deer hunter that tells you he or she is not a trophy hunter is probably not telling you the complete truth. Because I don't think a deer hunter has ever existed. Back to the caveman days, they didn't draw pictures of nubbing bucks on those cave walls, but I think, but I'm one of the types that, and you are too. I've hunted with Larry a bunch. I know how he ticks, but a mature buck, and say I'm hunting with some people that's never killed a good, a trophy class buck. And I honestly had rather them shoot a big 145-inch buck, and I'm quite happy with taking that fat forkhorn that's got a main beam of 24 inches. I mean, I've reached that stage. Now, I won't say that there again, I'd be contradicting myself. I won't say I'm not looking for that big one, but it's not the desire that it used to be, because I've killed some nice deer in my life. But,
yes, you have.
So anyway, that's the way I look at it. I know every deer hunter's got their own seasons that they go through, if you will. Back when you first started deer hunting, man, when I first discovered the Texas hill country, I was up in my 20s, Larry, and I was used to sitting on a wooden plank in East Texas. And maybe seeing a deer, a doe, or anything. And then when I was when I really got into some really good numbers of deer was down around it was called Sunset Beach, I think. It was a little town there near Lake. Really, it's been so long. Near Llano. I mean, we headquartered at Llano. A day hunt, 3-day hunt.
I think it was Lake Travis, probably, if I remember where Sunset Beach was.
Maybe, yeah, okay. I haven't been back in that particular area in years, but me and some other two good friends, we scraped together $184, I never will forget, a piece for a 3-day hunt for deer. And a gentleman by the name of Herb Steeling, he was a German fellow. He did day hunts, and he was pretty well known back in that time. This was in the mid-'70s. Well,
yes,
me
sir.
and my two buddies, we had a tent. Of course, I had an old pump-up Coleman stove, the old green stove there. And, And I even back then, it seemed like I got the cooking duties. I remember exactly the meals that I cooked: some potatoes and onions and corned beef together.
Ooh,
Those old boys were just bragging. And anyway, so I've told you this story before, but I bet a lot of our listeners haven't heard this one. So I had a Marlin 336C, a 30-30, iron sights, no scope. Well, so Herb, he was a outfitter down there, so he loved to kid me. I don't know why he did, but he did. He immediately started kidding me. He said, "Well, son," he was probably about, I don't know, he's probably 65 years old at that time, and he said, "Son, what do you got there?" I said, "Well, I got my deer rifle. I'm going deer hunting." Yeah. I'd kind of pick back at him a little bit. He says, "You're bringing a iron sight down here in this open country?" I said, "Yeah, yep." Anyway, he gave me in a good-natured way a lot of kidding, and I never will forget. I got up in an old oak out in the middle of a field with quite a bit of brush around, but a bunch of open country. Sun came up. The first thing I saw was what we would call a goat horn spike. He had spikes about 7 or 8 inches long. Right. He was, honestly, looking back, he was probably a 2.5-year-old deer. He come trotting out there, and I was up in this tree. He stopped 70 yards away, and I drilled him. Got him, made a good shot. He ran just 20 yards and hit the deck. But I got my revenge on Mr. Herb Stealing. I told him I think I stretched it to 110 yards or something.
But of course.
but that's what deer hunting's all about. And then the fun around the campsite, Larry.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy, that's I've hunted. I've had camps for everything from a tent to a wore out pop up trailer to you name it. And I know you have, Larry.
Yeah, we need one of these days just a separate segment on some of the camps, quote unquote, that we've been in over the years. I think that'd be really. We do need to remind people that we're going to be available today.
Yes.
Or on the 8th, and I'll let you tell them where we're going to be and all that kind of good stuff. If you don't mind.
Yes, I don't want to trick anybody up because I know this is a podcast after our awesome radio stations run it. If you are listening on the radio right now, November the 8th, Larry and I and Bill Carey, Striper Express, Jeff Rice is going to be with us, our good friend that puts together a Sportsman's Life. We're going to be in Seagoville, Texas. Now, that's about 30 minutes southeast of Dallas, just off Highway 175 in Seagoville, Texas, at the Dash for Cash pawn shop. Randy, the owner there, we were talking. He's a good friend. We were talking back a few months ago. He said, "How about some kind of an event here, Luke?" I said, "Let's have a celebration of the outdoors." So,
amen.
Yes, and so that will be it. Now, to find the place, just Dash for Cash pawn shop, Hall Street, on Hall Street in Seagoville, Texas, from 10 to 3. We figured that was Larry's idea. Let's do it during the middle of kind of midday. So, even if you have to drive a couple hours, come out and spend 2 or 3 hours with us. We're going to have some barbecue and have a campfire, hopefully have a fire pit outside, and just have a good time, Larry,
It's going to be absolute fun. We'll have our books there as well, too. But, it's a celebration of the hunting season. We're going to be telling a few stories. And I hope people show up with some photographs of some of the animals, or even the antlers, actually, that they took. I'd love to see some of those. So, if y'all are in that area and can get there, please come by and let's do some visiting.
You betcha. Larry, we are out of time. We will reconvene at the next real campfire here in a day or two. So, just keep that knife sharp and that rifle sighted in until I get to be with you, which is going to happen on the next hunt here, son. About another 2 or 3 days.
Can't wait.
Friends, Mr. Larry Weishuhn is going to tell you about the finest hunting optics that we have ever found.
Luke, these are called Stealth Vision. They come from Crockett, Texas. Dr. John McCall developed them. They're 34 millimeter tubes as opposed to the narrower tubes, so more light transmission. They have a little green light that comes on. That scope is leveled because that's when you want to pull the trigger. They have an optional lighted reticle as well, too, and a whole lot of other products. And folks can learn more about them by going to stealthvision.com.
Folks, I want to introduce you to Vineyard Max. Now, this is an awesome deer attractant, a food attractant that's made with hammer-milled grape skin, dried hammer-milled grape skins. It has a mixture of rice bran and also corn chops. Very effective. Deer can smell the scent of grapes from a long way, and it brings them in. I've used it in West Texas out with Larry Weishuhn, and we were out there where deer are not even exposed to grapes, and they came right in. Also, Vineyard Max has a very good line of game and fish feeders. Check them out online, vineyardmax.net. Friends, I want to tell you about an awesome camping destination, Wind Point Park on Lake Texoma. It's over on the far east side, kind of the northeast side of the lake. It's a pristine park. You can go there and view, I think they estimated a couple of hundred deer on that couple of hundred acres there. Cabins, beautiful RV park, fishing piers, docks. It's got everything you'd want in an outdoor destination. Check them out online at windpointparktx.com. Folks, this segment is made possible by Smoking Tex electric smokers that I've been using a long, long time. Ultramatic feeders. I'd like you to check out the big bore air gun that I've done a great deal of hunting with. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw, 50 caliber, pressures up to 3,000 psi, and it looks like a conventional rifle. Wooden stock. I think you'll like the appearance, and I know you'll like the performance. It shoots not only bullets, but also air bolts as well, tipped with a broadhead. Check it out. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw. Well, friends, a lot of hunting talk this morning. It's hunting season, but it's also fishing season, too. Let's go up to Texoma, Lake Texoma, up on the Texas-Oklahoma border, and let's check in with my buddy Bill Carey with Striper Express and talk some, maybe a little fishing. Bill, good morning to you, buddy.
Well, good morning, Luke, and all y'all out in radio land.
I sure hope everything is going good. I saw a picture of, I saw a bunch of pictures of a bunch of stripers on Facebook, but Chris, I saw a big one. I think Chris's crew caught I don't know how big it was, but some of those bigger ones are being landed now, right?
Yes, they fatten up in the fall because they have a hard summer, and they get lean, long and lean, and now they are back to normal, and they're feeding on a frenzy. Just everything's good. The birds are here.
Yeah, boy. Well, here we are, getting into, won't be long, it'll be the mid-November, then the end of November, and all the birds will probably be there. By the birds, folks, we're talking about gulls, and they're the fisherman's best friend in the fall and winter when they get on Lake Texoma. Bill, I want to tell folks, I don't want to confuse anyone, but if you're listening on the radio today, November the 8th. Now, I don't want to trick people up because folks listen after the radio shows, all the great stations run our show, it becomes a podcast. Luke Clayton, or Catfish Radio with Luke Clayton and friends. So if you are listening on the radio right now and it's November the 8th, Seagoville, Texas, Bill Carey's here. Bill is going to be with us, the celebration of the outdoors. And if you're in North Texas, come on out here. Larry Weishuhn's here. Of course, I'm here. We're going to have a great time. A bunch of hunting and fishing folks are out here. We've got some free barbecue cooked up and barbecue sandwiches. It's going to be fun. It's located in Seagoville, Texas, on Hall Street. And you can Google Dash for Cash Pawn Shop. That's where it's at. And there's an outdoor venue we've got right next door there, so we're not all inside the building. Bill, we're going to have some fun today, buddy. You're going to be maybe ready to talk some striper fishing with the folks and possibly eat a little of that barbecue?
You betcha, buddy. A lot of people are starting to show up now, so here we go. We're going to have some fun today.
We are. Folks, I didn't bring it. I've got a big old fire pit. It's probably 45, 48 inches across. I got some of my friends here at the Dash for Cash Pawn Shop to help me load that thing up on a truck. We're going to have a campfire right there next on outdoors. So that we're going to use that to keep our barbecue hot. Bill, striper fishing. I know you're going to be talking a lot of striper fishing today with all the folks here, but honestly, fall for many reasons. One of them is the cooler weather. it's more pleasant to fish. But the fish, like you just mentioned early on there, they go on a feeding frenzy. So fall is a good time to come to Lake Texoma and experience the best of what it's got, you know?
Oh, yes, sir. You know, we call it legendary fall fishing. The fish are happy, and, you know, it was the warmest September and October on record, they say.
Yep.
And it was just tough. Too many bluebird days, too calm. I saw on Sportsman's Live last month Mr. Pennybaker talking about how calm it'd been. And, yeah, I got a joke. I tell people, bring me a good chop on the water and some and you know, a little bit of wind, and a cloud cover. And I said, if you can't bring me both, bring me one of them. And my joke is, if the sun shines and the wind lays, you might as well go water skiing. These stripers like it nasty, and we got some cool weather now. We got good wind, and these fish are getting really sassy.
That's it. Yeah, you folks, Bill was talking about our TV show. It's called A Sportsman's Life. And you can watch it you can just search A Sportsman's Life on YouTube, watch it there. A fun place to watch it is Carbon TV. There's all kind of good outdoor shows on Carbon TV. And this show here becomes a podcast also on Carbon TV. Bill, Carbon TV it's where it's at nowadays on
oh my goodness,
video. We'll be out fishing with you, film it, and within the next, sometimes within 3 or 4 days, our head honcho on the production, Jeff Rice, will have that thing up and going. So where traditional outdoor TV, Bill, you know, okay, you get a film crew up there, and yeah, it's a sportsman's, you know, a sportsman's channel or whatever, a big one of the networks, put it that way. Mm-hmm. Well, they'll film it, but it may not show up till next year.
That's right.
It's not what is really cool about the way we do it is the fact that it's very current, everything that we show. And you was talking about Tony Pennybaker, he guides for Catfish down at Tawakoni. Yeah, we were out there and it was no wind at all. We were actually drifting for catfish, drifting with the planer boards to pull the baits away, you know, just bumping the trolling motor real slow. And that's the way we actually caught most of them. We were just covering so much water that you drag that old piece of cut shad over a catfish, he's going to probably grab it. And that's the way we caught our fish. But, yeah, I mean, Tony was complaining, I wish we had some chop on the water. Contrary to what people used to think, Bill, when you and I were young whippersnappers, you didn't want wind, maybe because of some of the boats we fished out of, you know. But we want a good calm day. Well, do I hear Captain Call in the background, the crow?
He might be here.
No, I heard him.
I wasn't sure.
No, he's there. Captain.
Oh, I hear him over there. Yeah.
Let's see. Yep. Oh, I love for him to join us, Captain. There he is. Folks, we have a lot of fun, Bill and I, whether we're fishing or talking about fishing. Listen to that rascal.
Talk about that calm weather. Yeah, when we were young, we didn't think, we didn't know.
No.
But now, people ask me, say, why the wind? I said, well, it does everything. First of all fish are light sensitive. So it breaks up the sun going through the water. And the biggest thing is it creates oxygen. Those waves make oxygen. That gets the bait moving. In turn, it gets the fish moving. Everything comes alive. So that's why we like a little bit of good chop. My favorite is about 12 miles an hour.
Yep. You know, something I think I might have learned from you, I think I first heard it from you, is you take a flat lake, common. Boy, I love Captain Call. The crow, he's going to be wanting a part of the action here on our show. Oh, but anyway, you mentioned years ago we were fishing together, or in an interview for the newspapers or something. You said, Luke, think of it like this: the lake is dead calm, like a mirror. Nothing's moving. Well, the fish can see. I mean, there's no light refraction that takes place. Now, you put chop on the water, well, those fish looking up, they're not looking up through a mirror. They're looking up through a diffused thing, right? So it makes them. I think that's one reason that they bite better with some chop on the water.
Yeah, without a doubt, and I tell people, bring me one or the other if you can't bring me both, because cloud cover really helps breaking that up.
How do the trips run nowadays? What time are you guys leaving out? And
We're still going out early by that. If it gets colder this month, okay. Every Thanksgiving, we change our board and port time to 9:30 a.m. And we'll do that all November, December, January, February, and we go back to early when the time changes in March. It's all for the right reasons. First of all, it makes a simple drive for most. And, we don't have ice on the eyes of our fishing poles. We don't do that bright and early. We don't have to, because the water's cool and the fish bite all day. So 9:30, board and depart.
9:30, and get out there. And this describe November action. A lot of jig action going on, right?
Yes, sir. We just ended our 7-month topwater. It ends the first week of November, so we'll put those up, and now we will just about follow the birds. We'll go out there. If we don't see any birds, we'll start running routes. Routes, folks, are structure. We will look for the fish on main lake points, ditches, humps, anything different, ledges, anything different where they'll school up and hold and bite there. Now, we also carry our binoculars, because there's a zillion seagulls that make their winter here. And the fish are schooling fish. They push the shad to the surface, and the seagulls can see them from miles away, and they start coming down and dipping that bait. Now, that's a whole lot like summer without the birds, but they're not busted. They're right there near the surface. So when you're driving up to them, you watch which way they're going. And the birds will be flying into the wind always, but the fish will be moving a certain direction, maybe just the opposite. So you get in front of them and start casting into the wind. Always keep a tight line that way. And you never cast downwind, because you got to reel faster, and just cast into the wind. Most of the time, the most average is, I would tell people, count to 5. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Cock that handle and just start making a regular retrieve. And you have hit the fish column where they're at. They'll be anywhere from the surface down to about 30 foot. So that's what you do. Place the bait in front of the fish, start reeling. And I tell people, it can be so good, you have to be here to believe it.
Some very good tips, Bill. And, just the retrieve, you're actually just it's weird that those fish won't blow up like they do in the summer. But, you'll see a swirl, or you might even see a tail every now and then when they flip,
Yeah.
But it's not like they're there and the birds are telling you they're there, but a lot of them are subsurface, like 2 to 5 foot, just slowly work that jig back through there, right?
It must be their metabolism slows a little, because in the summer, you'd think they come up like a rocket to hit that bait, but they don't bust, but they're right there. And like you said, they can be about 5 foot below the surface. Those bait will push to the surface. They can run, but they can't hide from there. And the birds see all that sparkle from the air. And like I joke, those birds are better than these $2,000 fish finders. They can just put you on those fish.
That is the truth too, Bill. Well, Bill, folks, we are visiting with Bill Carey. And if you're available up in North Texas, get on your GPS and type in the right here in Seagoville, Texas, Dash for Cash Pawn Shop. It's on Hall Street. It's right on Highway 175, just southeast of Dallas, about 4 or 5 miles from 635 that way. So, Bill, Striper Express, that's how they can find you, .com or whatever.
You betcha.
You want to leave a phone number?
Betcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Folks, you can call us anytime at 903-786-4477. That is 903-786-4477.
Bill, let's have some of that smoked barbecue sandwich. What do you say?
Oh, buddy, I'm ready.
I want to tell you about a one-stop shop for everything related to game feeders and fish feeders, Ultramatic feeders. I've been using components and feeders from Ultramatic feeders for 20-something years, I guess. They have the remote, which you can remotely activate your feeder with, the timer, which is the most simple timer that I've ever found on a game feeder. And then the eliminator, check these out. They are worked on actually on centrifugal force, and they seal off the corn supply so coons and squirrels can't get to the corn. Check them out. Ultramatic feeders, you could go online to ultramaticfeeders.com. Folks, let's talk a little outdoor cooking. Let me tell you about an electric smoker that I've been using for 15 years, I guess. Smoking Tex electric smokers. If you're tired of staying up all night keeping that wood fire burning when you're barbecuing, give Smoking Tex a try. They're made to last a lifetime. You can check them out at smokingtex.com. That's SMOKINTEX.com. For seasonings, anything to do with outdoor cooking, all kind of jerky seasonings, sausage seasonings, Butcher Packer Supply. That's butcherpackersupply.com. I think the website is butcher-packer.com.
Big Sam left Seattle in the year of 92 with George Pratt, his partner, and brother Billy too. They crossed the
Friends, this segment is made possible by Platinum Cadillac and Chevrolet in Terrell, Texas. Stop by and visit with my buddy Mr. Justin Rudd and his team of experts and let them put you in a new Chevy pickup or a Cadillac or whatever you might be in the market for. Also, the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma. Check them out at ChoctawHuntingLodge.com. Also made possible by Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything airgun related. Well, friends, let's saddle up and head down to beautiful Cedar Creek Lake. Now, if you're listening to our show live on the radio station this morning, you probably know where Cedar Creek Lake is. It's about an hour maximum southeast of Dallas, right out Highway 175. But if you're listening on a podcast, that's where Cedar Creek Lake is. Mr. Chris Webb is our buddy down there. He guides for crappie and sand bass, and I thought it'd be good to shift gears away from a little bit of hunting, maybe not all the way away from hunting, but talk a little crappie fishing. Chris, how you doing? Folks,
good. How are you, buddy?
Oh, we're good. Folks, you'd get a kick out of Chris. I mean, we're recording this. He's been in a bow stand, hunting, and then saw some doe and whatnot. And I said, look, we have to quit talking about deer just for long enough to talk about crappie. So, Chris, I have been looking at the Facebook pictures. Tables, that's the current term, tables. I mean, tables of fish. The tables that you've been showing on Facebook are covered with crappie, and some nice ones, too, that I've been seeing, Yeah,
the quality this time of year is outstanding. It's some of the best big fish fishing of the whole year.
Yep. I wonder why. It seems like every year in the fall, the big, I guess they've just, more of them are mature. I don't know why, but it seems like bigger fish, crappie, are caught in November, December,
Absolutely. I just kind of assume the big ones, the older ones, know winter's coming, and they know to put the feed bag on and fatten up.
Yep. Well, so some tips, some crappie catching tips. And friends, now Chris is talking about Cedar Creek Lake, but I think, Chris, that you'll agree whichever lake you're fishing with a good population of crappie, the information you give would be just as good in West Texas as it would in Arkansas, I would think,
Absolutely.
Patterns.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I learned a long time ago, I reported fishing for the Dallas Morning News for about dang near 15 years, and I learned real quick after a while that patterns is that's what helps people. Not so
Absolutely.
much, not so much what happened at 2:05 in a cove somewhere, but what's been happening the last week or two. So tell us, here we are in November, approaching mid-November, so what pattern, what do you think is going to be happening the next month, say?
Yeah, I tell you, as the fish make their way to the shallows or back the shad some are headed up the creeks, I'm looking for pinch points on the way back. Most of my active fish are at the mouth of coves, on points, on steep ledges. We're catching most of, if all, not all of our fish in probably 12 to 20 foot.
Mm-hmm.
And the key to triggering the bite is pitching it out and letting it slow fall, or just a real slow, steady raise. Those two techniques right there, those fish either want that bait raising or falling. And on average, we're probably getting, on most piles, we'll get 3 to 6 fish. But if you can find the right pile, we've had a couple of days these last couple trips where we've fired up 25, 30 fish on one spot, and it's been really good.
And are you keying on like brush or, standing timber? What kind of structure?
Absolutely. So it seems like this time of the year you can catch them on laydowns, but those fish really love something vertical.
Mm-hmm.
If it's sticking up right now, it is loaded.
So if I were in a boat on one of the feeder creeks there at Cedar Creek or Lake Fork or wherever, Lake Brownwood, wherever I was at, go back up in the creek a little bit, and if I found a sharp turn in the creek with a shallow ledge and then dropping on down into water, say 15 to 18 foot deep, with some brush on it, that's the kind of place I'd want to fish.
I tell you, I'm not going all the way into the creek yet.
Yep.
There are some fish that have already made their way up there.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of getting at the mouth of the cove that leads to the creek.
Okay.
And finding the first deep drop in there.
Okay.
I wonder. I'm probably halfway back to the front.
Okay, I got you. I wonder why they like water that's shallow close to deep. Maybe, I don't know, maybe just their trawler maybe following the bait, on a situation like that.
I definitely feel like it has a lot to do with it. It's also got a lot to do with the, they can slide up shallow early with the low light penetration.
Mm-hmm.
And then as that sun gets up, they can slide back down into that good oxygenated, deeper water. It kind of offers them everything they need. They're not kind of pinned into one little area.
So they're not like in a big open water deep flat where all the water is 18 foot deep or 12. They've got a choice,
Absolutely. And I'll tell you one thing I've always found interesting. Look, my buddy Lane Palmer, when he was still with us, he saw on Discovery one time that sharks will pull up shallow when they fed and they want to digest. That warm water helps them process their food better.
Yeah.
And we will find a ton of fish in 10 foot or less that will not bite. And I can't help but think they've already fed and they're just up there kind of digesting and processing everything.
That's the kind of stuff that's always intrigued me, talking to guys like you that fish for a living. That's things that I had a good friend, Tony Pennybaker, down at Tawakoni, tell me, you're talking about fishing under catfish, cormorant roost for catfish, yes. Chris. Well, I do know that they will eat the droppings of the cormorants. I've actually, but that he told me, he said, you know what, Luke, most of these catfish that I catch have a lot of green moss in them, and those fertilized trees are covered. If you get subsurface, they've got a ton of what we call moss on them. He said, I guarantee you, some of them eat the droppings.
Well, we call that the puree shad shake.
That's right. yeah, that's it. Because all that green, but they also feed on that green moss. Why is the green moss there? Tony tells me, he says, well, think about it. It's fertilized. A lot of
that makes a lot of sense.
It does. Now, where do you learn that type of stuff, like you brought up, unless you're out there doing it?
Absolutely.
But I've through the years, I've learned a lot of, not only about fishing, but turkey hunting, deer hunting, and then I try to, when I pick up on about the blind hog finding the acorn every now and then, when I come up with something, I'm sure I'm quick to share it,
Absolutely.
So jigs, okay, you're talking what size jigs and what color?
Oh, so when you first pull into a pile or a tree, whatever structure you're fishing, you can catch 3 to 6 aggressive active fish. I call them the guard fish.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that are looking for anything that comes by. They'll chase it. They'll hit it. We are fishing a 16th or a 32nd on light wind days. And that's what we're pitching out over the pile, and they kind of slowly pendulum in.
Mm-hmm.
After we get our active fish, we'll either use an 1/8 ounce jig. And our best colors this time of year are anything shad. We use a lot of monkey milk, a lot of sausage gravy from Constant Pursuit Outfitters. We use anything that looks shad-like is very
mm-hmm.
good this time of the year. And then once we get our active, aggressive fish, we're going to straight minnows and pinch minnows.
Now, describe the pinch minnows. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I will take that minnow and I'll pinch him behind the head, right there at the gill plate. It's like the good Lord made a dotted line for him. His little head pops off. And Luke, I kid you not, on those picky fish that do not want to bite, popping that minnow open and exposing that blood is like unwrapping a Snickers under their nose. They got to taste the caramel. They can't resist that minnow blood.
That's like a blue catfish. I mean,
Absolutely.
you can
Yes,
catch all the channel cat you want to on punch bait, but if you're going for the blues, not they won't hit punch bait, but you open a shad up with your hook, open him up. And, I never thought about a crappie, but that makes sense because so many people are, keen on the niblets, crappie niblets.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
they're going to feed by that smell is going to trigger the bite too. So the hard to catch fish, that's even more attractive to the crappie than a live frisky minnow, maybe, right?
We will have piles. We'll drop live minnows down, and they will not touch it. And the second we set that minnow blood down there, we can light that whole pile up.
I've learned something new. I've honestly never intentionally done that. I fished with some dead minnows that might have been opened up, but another good tip. Chris, let's do this. I want people to, if you want to catch a bunch of crappie and have some fun, folks, at Cedar Creek Lake, southeast of Dallas, less than an hour, you need to talk to Chris. What's the best way to contact you, Chris?
Yeah, my number is 903-275-3253, or you can find me on Facebook at Chris Webb's Guide Service or Chris Webb.
Just Chris.
And I'll tell you,
go.
Yes, sir.
Chris Webb. We got you. Yep. Mm-hmm. What were you going to tell me?
If anybody calls and says they heard it on Luke's radio show, I'll give you $50 off for booking a trip.
Well, by golly, what a deal. Chris, thank you a lot for being with us, and we'll get you back. I like to, give every couple of weeks or so, give a tip from you and let people figure out the best way to catch these crappie. Maybe next time we'll talk a little bit about cooler water sand bass. How about that?
Absolutely. Sounds good, buddy.
For about the past decade, I've been hunting editor for Airgun Hobbyist magazine. I think the only magazine devoted strictly to airgun shooting and hunting in the country. Well, in that length of time, I've learned quite a bit about big bore air guns and smaller calibers too. A spot to go to that if you're interested in air guns, you need to know about Pyramid Air. The website is PYRAMYD, pyramidair.com. They have anything and everything you need, from the guns themselves, the big bores or the smaller calibers, to the accessories. Just remember pyramidair.com, and there's a number when you get on the website if you need to call and talk to somebody. Give them a buzz, and they can fill you in on little details that you might need to know about shooting or hunting with big bore air guns.
The snowflakes fall as winter calls, and time just seems to fly.
Friends, this segment is brought to us by CVA muzzleloaders. In my opinion, the very best muzzleloaders in the world, the ones that I shoot. You can check them out online, cva.com. Kubi's Wild Game Processing and Kubi's Restaurant in Dallas, and Vineyard Max, maker of some awesome deer attractant and some very fine game feeders and fish feeders, located down in Nacogdoches, Texas. Check them out at vineyardmax.net. Well, friends, this is Luke, and we have a little time to spare on today's show, and I thought I would give you some tips. Now, this is not the way you may want to hunt fall turkeys, but it is effective, and it's challenging, and I think you might enjoy learning how old Luke tries to put a wild turkey on the Thanksgiving table every year. Now, I'll be quite honest with you, it would take 4 wild turkeys probably to feed the crew that I feed. I'm kind of the designated Thanksgiving dressing maker and turkey baker. Hey, that kind of rhymes, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm the cook for the major courses of the Thanksgiving dinner. I like to bow hunt. I like to hunt with big bore air guns. I like to hunt with muzzle loaders, you name it. Here's a way to get you an early turkey for the Thanksgiving table and not disrupt your deer hunting and the deer hunting of your friends with a bow. Okay, now, this is not textbook turkey hunting at all. It's the way I do it. So I want to make that statement up front. I use a pop-up blind around a corn feeder. Now, people say, oh, Luke's hunting turkeys right on a feeder. Yeah, I am. I don't do that in the springtime. I want to call them up. You can call till you're blue in the face to a gobbler in the fall, and you're probably not going to get him in. Now, the textbook way to hunt turkeys in the fall, with a shotgun, of course, is to bust up a flock and then call them back individually. That works. I've done that a time or two with a shotgun. Try it with a bow, though. Your odds are going to be pretty slim. I want that turkey on the ground. Now, on a lease, all of us probably have hunting leases, or we own land or whatever. We have other hunters, rifle hunters, and we're probably rifle hunters right now too. The general season is underway in Texas, so you don't want to be out there with your shotgun banging away at or even a 22 or whatever, rifle at turkeys. You're early and late. You're deer hunting around a corn feeder. Let's call it like it is. That's where in Texas. That's where most of us are going to be. Might not shoot the buck right at the feeder, but he's going to be making the rounds. Those doe are going to be there, and he's going to be in that area. So during about, say, 11, I've killed a lot of turkey with my bow from about 11 to 2. Middle of the day, turkeys are not necessarily patterned to corn feeders like deer are. In other words, the feeder go off in the morning. You're not going to have a flock just come trotting in to eat. A lot of times they come back through during the middle of the day and they make their rounds. What deer lease in Texas doesn't have several corn feeders going right now? I'd say 90% of them do. Those turkeys know where every corn feeder is and they make their rounds. Now, here is the challenge. A pop-up blind does not spook turkeys. I've hunted from them for years. It will spook a deer when it's new to an area. So that's your challenge. You can go in. It takes 3 minutes to set a pop-up blind up, middle of the day. You'll probably want to take it down when you get through bow hunting. But pop that blind up, set it about 25 yards from where you expect those turkeys to be feeding on corn. Make sure there's some corn on the ground. You might want to carry a little gallon Ziploc bag full of corn and spread some out there. But chances are real good from about 11 to 2 when everybody's in camp relaxing and eating lunch. You can be out there with your bow and you can get your fall turkey in a method that does not disturb all the deer hunters. And I think all of you, and I'm the same way, during rifle season, first few weeks of the season when everybody's at camp, I don't want anybody out there blasting with a shotgun either at turkey. I won't do it. But you're not going to disturb anything middle of the day. But carry that pop-up, set it up. If there's any brush, set it around the brush, where you're not right out in the open. But try to find a good spot to pop that thing up. It probably will not disturb those turkeys. They may stop and look at it, all of them in unison, look at that blind I've had it happen 1,000 times, for just a few minutes, for 30 seconds, and then they'll go about their business. They'll start pecking on that corn. And you can draw that bow down, conceal it in the lower part of that pop-up blind and pull it up and drill you a Thanksgiving turkey. And then be back and take your blind down, get out of there about 2 o'clock, and then, the place will be undisturbed by firearms and everybody be happy back at camp. So that's just a little tip that I thought I'd give you. Wild turkey can be really, really good. I smoke most of my wild turkeys. I inject them with some butter. I mix some Tony's Creole seasoning in with the butter, and I've got a big injector needle, and I'll just inject the breast and the legs and everything. Turkey drumsticks and thighs can be a little tough to get tender. So the way I do it, I'll put the turkey in a aluminum pan and load it up with butter, smoke it for a couple of hours at about 225, and then I will wrap it tightly, and I might probably, baste the outside with a little more butter, wrap it up tight, and keep that. I use a Smoking Tex electric smoker. Had one for years. That's how I cook my turkeys, but keep it about 225, and make sure that you're kind of steaming and cooking. They've got enough smoke after 2 hours of smoking. And then so you wrap them up real tight and keep moisture in there for about every couple of hours. I like to pull that foil off, baste them with some more butter, garlic butter, and then cover them back up with the foil and let them cook. Folks, that's a little tip. We had some extra time today. Do remember now, today, if you're listening on the radio, November the 8th, Larry and I mentioned it earlier in the Campfire Talk segment of our show. Larry, Weishuhn, Mr. Whitetail, I, and several hunting and fishing guides are going to be at the Dash for Cash pawn shop in Seagoville, Texas. You can just Google Dash for Cash pawn shop on Hall Street in Seagoville. Come out there from 10 to 3 today. Let's have some fun. Visit with Larry and I, and talk some Bill Carey. I know for a fact be out there, a bunch of good buddies that hunt and fish all the time. We're going to have a campfire. I think we can. They're going to allow us to have a fire pit outside and adjacent to the pawn shop. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed our show. Remember, it becomes a podcast after all these awesome radio stations run it. You can always listen to that podcast. It's called Catfish Radio with Luke Clayton and Friends. And you can go down the road and you can find that at, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, all the places that have podcasts. So thank you again for joining us this week, and look forward to being with you this time. Next week, we'll have some more fun. Folks, that about wraps our show up for this week. I've enjoyed being with you, and I hope you've had a good time, too. And, folks, we're also brought to you by the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, located about, 45 minutes west of Hugo, Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation. It's about 45,000 acres of awesome mountain, country, hills, valleys, loaded with game. Lots of eastern turkey, and they do eastern turkey hunts if you're looking for a spot to hunt turkey in the spring.